Yeah, fellow friends, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am Awunja Sylvester. My friends and my brothers, I have decided to come live, like I said. I decided to bring to you my views on the Anglophone crisis. I have sit and watch. I've sit and watch. We have seen for the past 2 years now. I want to see for the past 2 years now. There have been gruesome killings in southern Cameroon. We have noticed women and children being killed, raped, students being shot in broad daylight, and nobody ever bothered to answer or to ask a question. We have seen the gruesome invasion of the territory of Amazonia by the forces of La Republique. Since 2016 to now, it is unfortunate that the world has completely given deaf ears and blind eyes to what is going on in Africa. But I understand that there's just no doubt, and there's no way we can say without why they decide to play such a role at such a crucial moment when the people need them so much. The world has decided to turn their back away from Ambazonians. They have decided to abandon us, bury our dead in pains and in silence. So when I try to look and to try to search for reasons behind all this silence, there's nothing that makes me doubt. It is very simple and clear. I have decided to make a deep research and to understand the theory behind, the reason behind. We know the French, or France as a whole, has a great role to play in Africa, especially in sub-Saharan, around the Gulf area. When we look into Africa, we will see that 3/4 of the resources or the riches of France is coming from Africa. Let's keep France aside. When we look about Europe and America, 3/4 of the resources of Europe and America comes from Africa. If we look onto the world policy, to the economic and military, when we understand and to go back into history, we see that the reason why the First World War erupted, the Second World War, most part area was because of what? Economic reasons. The search for raw material. And when we look about Cameroon and the area around the Gulf of Guinea, we will discover that 3/4 of the world reserve of raw materials, when you talk about gold, petroleum, timber, bauxite, diamond, I mean, what can you name, is being located in that area. Now, the question now comes is, when we look also in Europe, we see all these great, big firms that goes around exploiting people in Europe. We see that most of that wealth is coming back, well, not from Europe, but in Africa. They are the ones sponsoring the European institutions. The big banks, the multinational firms that operate in Europe. Where do they get their revenue? Where do they get money from? The money comes from Africa. And where in Africa? Most especially in sub-Saharan Africa. And when we look about the life of the people of this region, when we try to look about the structure of the society of this sub-Saharan Africa, where most of the resources of the world, the riches of the world, the minerals of the world are being located, look at the way the people are living. They're living in abject poverty. Nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about us. People look at the way the women, children go to school barefoot. There are no roads. There are no hospitals. There are no schools, even schools with no benches, no infrastructure. Why? Because it fits the desire of this guru, these big multinational companies exploiting us. They do not consider us as humans. They look at us as subhuman. In short, we are not even humans. We are not even fit to be called humans. Why? Because they know if they categorize us as humans, they will call upon the attention of the population. They say, but if these people are really human like us, they don't have to treat them this way. When I look into what is happening in Amazonia today, the liberation from Amazonia is not only a liberation from Amazonia like people are thinking. The liberation from Amazonia is a liberation of the entire African subcontinent. The liberation from Amazonia is also a liberation of La Republique. The liberation from Amazonia is going to be a gateway into a new Africa. If you reason, my friends, if you can see in recent years, the Europeans have been exploiting us for so long. But within the last 5-10 years, the African youth of today has been rising. People have been talking. Guys have been going to streets. Even though they do everything to shut us down, they do everything to kill us. When we look into history, we look at somebody like Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso. These were his dreams. He came up, they shut him down, they ended him. But people keep on coming, people keep on talking. Look at what Kemi Seba is doing today. That is conscientizing the African population, conscientizing the African youth, making them to understand that we have to be strong. We have to say no to this exploitation. We have to take a greater control in our resources. We have the right to decide on what the way our government, our land will be governed. We have to be the ones to make the decision on who will govern us. And these are the things that the Europeans don't want us to. They don't want us to do. These are the very things that stand against their interests, because they know that if we finally get out or receive the economic independence, are able to stand or receive a greater autonomy, it will be the fall of Europe. It will be the collapse of Europe. When they sit, they have people who they pay each day, each month, huge sum of money, only to devise strategy on how to tie Africa on the ground. They sit and only work on how to manipulate African leaders. It is a pity that our brothers, our sisters, our friends who are today leading us, they're heartless. When I look into what is happening in Southern Cameroon, when I go back into history in 1994, it's not too long when we were talking and crying and lamented about the country Rwanda. When we look at the killings in Rwanda, the world said after Rwanda it will never happen again. But look at how many years today. Look at what they are doing now in Cameroon, in Amazonia. They are killing women, children, raping them in broad daylight. They go into churches and kill people, but nobody cares about that. Why is it that the world has been so heartless? What is making America, what is making France, Europe, and the rest unable to talk? Why are they so afraid to come on air and condemn the regime? Because they know, they have studied the Amazonian population. They have studied the Amazonian youth. They have seen the way we are pursuing this revolution. That, if you go back, we live in Europe, 35 or say 40% of the Amazonian who are outside are people who did not only come here to study, but they came here because they had nowhere to live in their own country. So they came here with the interest to remain permanently. Now, when we look, Europe has decided to see, yes, these guys are here. When they see the way we manipulate, we do things, we arrange, even though there's internal fighting, but yet the revolution is going ahead. What are they doing now? They are struggling now to divide us. Europe have decided to say, if we should allow these guys to go and become what they want to be, then that should be the end of France in Africa. Because a free Amazonia will be the end of France in Africa. A free Amazonia will be a beginning of the end of France in Africa, the rule of France in Africa, the monopoly of France in Africa. I know and I believe that in a very short time to come, within a few years from now to come, it will be an end of France. The grave of French government has been dug in Africa. And we in Amazonia will be the one to bury them. When we put an end to the rule, to the dominance of France in Amazonia, other African states around us will rise up also and say, yes, it's time for change. So my message to you, Ambassador, know that the world is watching you. The world is watching your youth. The world is seeing the way we are going. We can only foster when we remain focused and strong. We can only foster when we are honest to ourselves, when we are honest with our goals. Not people who come on the line to go and sign this behind back alone, single-handedly. We want people who will be focused. we will consider Ambazonians to be at the center of everything they do. If you say you are fighting for Ambazonia, then you must show the spirit of Ambazonia. You must live to defend the interests of the entire people. Why? Why is the world turning deaf ears? I have 3 reasons I've come out. Education. We will discover that Ambazonia is one of the most literate population in sub-Saharan Africa. About 98% of the population is well educated. I mean, well educated. When we go to location, Ambazonia is very strategic in Africa because Ambazonia sits at the bottom of the Gulf of Africa. And that is where all the great resources of Africa is located. Now, let us look. Ambazonia is at the foot of Nigeria. Ambazonia is also a gateway between the Francophone and the English-speaking part of Africa. Ambazonia can be considered to be the bridge that link in the west of Africa, Nigeria, and then we look about other French Francophone countries like Niger and all those Francophone countries, Guinea and those nations. So Ambazonia is very strategic. So now these people are so afraid. If we go also in terms of natural resources, we are naturally endowed with all kinds of resources. The country is very blessed. That is another factor why they don't want to allow us. Now we look also about immigration. Immigration has played a greater role to educate and open the mindset of the people. Most Ambazonians who are living in Europe today and America, they are people who are really they are really well connected with the society. They are mostly settlers of the country. These people are well integrated and they are very active in the workforce. They play an active role in the workforce of the country. Now, when we look about competitivity, the competitivity theory I would describe to be what? It's just a matter of you sitting and seeing your neighbor progressing, then you decide to be like your neighbor. So the Francophones, the French know that if Ambazonia should stand and rise and become independent and autonomous, the level of development that will be in Ambazonia will drive the other nations surrounding Ambazonia to be jealous, and they will go crazy. And it will call on the youth to also revolt. It will inspire the youth around, surrounding the territory of Ambazonia to be revolt. First, beginning with La Republic, the youth of La Republic. So people, I want to empower you. I want to call on to you that mindful of the fact that they say they will not come to assist us, we are capable of assisting ourselves. May you stand up strong. Never you give up. Like Bob Marley said, stand up for your right. We can only succeed in this revolution if we stand as one man and fight as one man. If we start dividing ourselves, we are bound to collapse. We have to forget about leaders who stand in front to say they are fighting for Ambazonia, whereas they are fighting for their own personal pockets. We should be able to expose our leaders when we see they are going wrong. Ambazonia, I'm calling you and I'm empowering you. Your freedom lies in your hands. Nobody will give you your freedom. You have to take your freedom by power and by force. No one is going to come and give you your freedom. So if you want to get this freedom you are fighting for, remember, you have lost so many people. You've lost brothers, sisters, sons and daughters. You've lost mothers, uncles. You have lost so many. You even have your policies violated by the enemies. But I want to tell you, you have to make it strong. No one's going to let you. No one's going to set you free. The freedom you are yearning for, the freedom you are crying, the freedom you are dreaming of, can only come if we remain focused. We must remove every idea, every selfish idea in our heart. We must cleanse our heart and stand firm. We must be our brother's keeper. Fellow Ambazonians, if we want to pursue this revolution to a successful end, then we must look one another like we look ourselves. We must treat each other like we treat ourselves. We must forget about hate, selfishness, greed. That is what will kill any revolution. If we start focusing and considering the mass, putting our brothers back home, ground zero to be our primordial goal in this revolution, then we stand a greater chance of succeeding. But if we keep aside and forget want to put our own self-interest ahead, then we are bound to fail. Remember, I'll tell you, it will take time for the world to speak for this to us. It will be very difficult for the world to come and speak for us because they know that a free Amazonia is a free Africa. So remember, the freedom you're crying, the freedom you're dreaming of can only come if we remain focused and solid. If we remain as a block, they will have no choice rather than giving us the freedom. We can combat La Republic to the end. We can put La Republic, we can put their backs to the ground if we remain focused. But if we keep on dividing and going fractions, creating fractions, then we shall be infiltrated and we shall easily be destroyed. So my advice to you, brothers and sisters, know that the world is never coming to help us. Remember that America was still there when people were dying in Rwanda. Remember that France and Europe were the one they even conspired to set up the Rwanda genocide. And they are the very people who have conspired to set up the genocide that's taking place in our homeland. So my people, rise up to fall no more. You have to take this stance. This is your time. You will not have any other time again other than this. This generation started this revolution, and this generation must pursue this revolution to the end. It is a goal of every ambassador to see that we take this revolution to the rightful end. We know how to deliver it, and we shall do it in the Amazonian way. God bless you. Amen.